Ho, ho, ho! Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Too Much Popcorn, the movie review podcast where Jimmy and I, we watch a movie, and then we sit down and we make a podcast where we talk about the things that we liked in the movie, the things that we didn't like, the things that worked for us, and the things that didn't. And ultimately, we try and come up with a ultimate decision between the two of us, not really kind of, coinciding with each other. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But we like to try and decide whether we would recommend the movie that we just watched to somebody or not.
Not to compare ourselves to Siskel and Ebert, but you know how they're like, they disagree sometimes? Sometimes, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And you know
that
how
was like their whole thing.
Statler and Waldorf, well, they usually just don't like whatever Kermit the Frog's putting on, but...
We're kind of like them sometimes, too.
Yeah. I would say we're more Statler and Waldorf than anything.
Yes, that's a better analogy to who we are, just as people. So.
Yeah, roasting things and then laughing at our own jokes. That sounds about
and
accurate.
Muppets more than people, really, when it comes down to it.
I mean, folks, you haven't seen us. We're 98% felt.
And when I stab myself and I pull out the threads, that's what happens. Stuffing.
Yeah,
not human parts.
So, what did we watch this week, Jimmy? What was the movie?
The movie that you haven't said the title of, but it's up there if you're accessing this podcast through any means, unless you have like a voice thing and you go, play this next podcast for me, please. You're listening to the episode where we talk about the hit 1988 film Scrooged, starring Bill Murray and a whole cast of other characters in there. You got Karen Allen, you got Bill Murray's brother. What, his name's John or something? I mean,
that sounds about right.
Did good stuff. You got a whole bunch of people in here doing what could be called a parody / retelling of A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens. You got ghosts. You got a Christmas curse. You got a winter style curse. And it's a comedy. It's a horror film. It's got a whole lot going on.
You know, I'm just going to go ahead and say it straight off the bat that I think this is probably my second favorite telling of the Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens's story, A Christmas Carol.
After a Muppet Christmas Carol, I believe.
Absolutely. No contest. No movie will ever surpass the movie that actually has quotes from Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol told by... Yes. My, coworker, Gonzo. Yes.
And a rat, and the whole host of characters. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's face it, folks. There have been so many tellings of A Christmas Carol. Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, you have seen some show or movie or whatever that has parodied A Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens wrote this, and then he forgot to get the patent on it, and I'm sure he is spinning 360 degrees in his grave because he's like, everybody has ripped this off. I should be getting some kind of royalties from it.
I just had a conversation with somebody about this where it's like confirmed that Charles Dickens is like, this is not my favorite work, right? Like back in the day, this is a throwaway tale. I made it. It's fine. Whatever. You bring Charles Dickens back today, and he's like, everyone knows a Christmas Carol of all of my works. You know this one? It's beloved?
Yeah. And like, let's face it. I mean, granted, there's Oliver Twist, but beyond those two, I dare you name a third.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. I honestly couldn't do it.
But like, think about it. It would actually be absolutely wild if there was another story that was as parodied or retold or like quipped into storytelling as this story. Look at Shakespeare. He's got Romeo and Juliet, but there's been a few retellings of that. but not on the same level as this. Like, everybody does the person's bad at the beginning. They're tormented by several things from their past, present, and future, and then, oh, now they're good. Like, it's the story.
Not only that, just as on a lark, I think I was going through Canopy, like through the library, because they just added a whole Christmas catalog, a holiday catalog, whatever you want to watch. You'll find wild movies that you can just rent from your library. But the most common title I saw was literally A Christmas Carol. And it was actors. It was people I don't even know who are in these movies. But I saw at least 4 in quick succession of just Christmas Carol with this guy, Christmas Carol with this guy. And I'm like, the people want it. And I don't know if they wanted that many, but we have that many. To just accessible to us at all times.
And it's wild because, like, you would think for how many tellings there are out there of this story that you would get to the point where, like, and like sometimes, yeah, I'll be watching some kind of Christmas special that's new, and they instantly start doing the like, oh, this person's a Scrooge, and now here comes some ghost, and you're like, this again. But then you're watching it, and you're like, all right, yeah, this is funny. Oh, this is good. Oh, here comes the third ghost.
Have they done one yet where it is a Christmas Carol, but it follows somebody else, and then in the background you see Scrooge like just being haunted? Like he's just like running down an alley somewhere, and there's a ghost chasing him, and you're like, what's going on over there? Is he Christmas caroling over there?
I want one where, like, the ghosts are, like, taking it too far, and then Scrooge is the one who has to remind them about the spirit of Christmas.
Oh, that's well, here we have another Christmas Carol on our
I know. Also, like, we're talking Bill Murray here. Why did nobody be like, hey, Ghostbusters, these ghosts are on the loose, and this man, Peter Venkman, needs to bust them?
I think it would be too on the nose, where they were even sort of teasing it a little bit with sort of the effects and some stuff going on. They're one step away from just straight up putting Slimer in the movie. And I think they were like, we can't do it. We don't have the rights on this one. Yes, we have Bill Murray starring. He can wink, he can nod, he can do all this stuff, but he can't bust a ghost. He can't do it.
And to be completely fair, there is a Ghostbusters animated series, and I'm sure there is a episode that is Christmas Carol that I just have never seen.
There's gotta be.
There's gotta be.
It's just right there.
Yeah.
Is this the only Christmas Carol that has a Danny Elfman score behind it? Or does Danny Elfman like volunteer? He's like, I volunteer. I want to do the.
I think Danny Elfman is like at least in the top 3 and probably has something written in one of his like contracts that's like, hey, if you're doing a Christmas movie, you at least got to give him a call and see if he's busy. If he's not, he's
not even Christmas, like holiday plus possible ghost or spooky, a ghoul of some kind in a holiday movie.
True. Yeah.
Call him up.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
He's sick, man. He'll do it.
Yeah.
He'll do it.
They're like, hey, we need some kind of like goofy, like some bells, some little children in the back going, ha, 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 ha,
Christmas time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he gets that.
I thought you were jokingly saying it in the beginning. Like you were like, haha, what a Danny Elfman-ass soundtrack. And then it straight up was like, score by Danny Elfman.
I was, because I was like, this soundtrack is literally so goofy that it's going to be a funny joke if it's not him. And it's going to be an even funnier joke if it is him.
It was like someone ghost writing a Danny Elfman soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
But this movie also has a lot of feel of Tim Burton, and especially in like the opening scenes where they're doing these like funny promos for different TV specials that are going to be on through the holidays. Like all of them feel like Tim Burton-esque, and I don't know if that was on purpose, and if so, why? But it's fun.
It almost has a sort of RoboCop like TV spot ad to it, where I don't know if that was just like a mid to late 80s thing where everyone was really obsessed with putting that sort of TV, like the TV's melting your brain in the movie. And they're like, well, it is. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like a half-hearted attempt to break the fourth wall, where they're like, hey, look how edgy we are at pointing out that, like, we are doing the thing that thing is saying it's doing. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but then the whole movie is like, here's a Tab advertisement, Coca-Cola, Budweiser, like all this shit is just straight up in the movie, shamelessly to what end? Just the advertisement money. I understand you need it to.
They got to make money.
Got to get the movie out there, but you can't just then like start the movie with ads for your shows that are. It was an interesting way to start the movie. I get it. It was establishing him as this, overbearing boss who thinks he knows everything about the TV business and all this sort of stuff. So he plays a fucking ad that has an atom bomb going off in it and stuff. So right off the bat, I mean, this is the first time I've seen this movie too. And so I feel like I've missed the boat on, watching this whenever I wanted. But I mean, it's going to get on the docket now. This one's that sequence alone right in the beginning with his post-apocalyptic. I mean, it literally shows everything terrible. I think it's the most terrifying advertisement he's concocted that is also an advertisement to watch their Christmas Carol special. Like, it's unhinged in terms of it's like, here's heroin, here's a person getting shot on the freeway, and it's like, you better watch Scrooge or else. And so you're like being put in a hostage situation right in front of the movie where you're like, well, I hope it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is. I also like that bit because, he's trying to make it edgy, and that's one of the things this movie kind of tries to do with itself, where, like, there's always been tellings of A Christmas Carol, but none of them have been edgy. And this movie was like, hey, we are going to be the edgy Christmas Carol.
Dude, Muppet Christmas Carol's edgy as hell.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It is. There is some scary stuff in that movie.
I think the thing that really unsettled me the most is Bill Murray's hair in this movie. We see a whole lot of Bill Murray, and I think the past version of him, or no, yeah. It's the past. He's in like the, late 60s or something. And he has this like really big hairdo that really sucks. And I don't know if it was a bad wig or just supposed to look really bad. The most unbelievable part of this film to me is that he is supposed to get the girl, Karen Allen, the fucking most beautiful actress in this movie. Bill Murray,
Yeah.
with that hair.
Yeah. Because it's about redemption. He changed his heart grew 3 times that day.
He has a mental breakdown live on TV, holds an entire director's studio hostage.
His heart grew 3 times.
It grew too much. He's having a hemorrhage somewhere. It's insane.
3
it
times.
was so wild of a sequence. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is again, it's A Christmas Carol. Going in, he's supposed to have a change of heart at some point. He fights it in standard Bill Murray in the 80s fashion where, he's an asshole. Is Bill Murray a nice guy in reality? I'll never know because I only know him as a snarky asshole in every role that he's ever played.
Yeah, it's the Chevy Chase paradox where literally every role that the two of them have played has been snarky asshole.
Is it because they're not acting? We know Chevy Chase was not acting.
And that's the question is, were these characters or not? And, I think this is one where you could have taken either of those people and had them be the lead in this role, and it would have worked just as well.
Yes, a National Lampoon's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
A family Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if that doesn't exist out there somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, Bill Murray, yes, the hair, very unsettling, very
I
long
hate
and
the hair.
short in places and mullety, but not mullety.
What is happening there?
Yeah. But he's fun. He's fun in the role, as always.
Oh yeah. It's there. That's the thing too. Is there were multiple times where I'm looking up at the screen and I'm seeing Bill Murray making a face or doing something else goofy, breaking the fourth wall, any sort of thing in there. It's funny to watch. He does have this magnetism to him that you can't look away. I don't know if there's any like line that he says that is the funniest. I think the situations he's put in are extremely funny, and I think the supporting cast around him was also extremely funny. Surprisingly, Bobcat Goldthwait was like a highlight for me, and what is up with him and his whole existence? Just to be in this movie, I couldn't unsee him as like Pain in Hercules, but
Or the big old spider in Adventure Time.
wait, is he actually in Adventure Time too?
Yeah, he plays when they get stuck in the web in that one episode, and then he's the big spider with his spider wife, and they are yeah.
Is that his real, actual human voice?
I don't think we'll ever know.
We'll never know because it is a cartoon man voice.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but to see a face and to put a face to that voice, and throughout my entire life, I don't know if I've ever seen Bobcat Goldthwait in reality as I have seen him today. He's always been an animated character in my mind.
Yeah, I think it's ever only been animated character and or this movie.
Yeah. And I think he's a highlight because he is the guy in the background that you stumble upon being hilarious and doing wild things and getting into hijinks and getting his watch stolen and all this sort of funny stuff. And yeah, it did feel like another moment of, again, Bill Murray, very, very funny guy. I think he is the lead for a reason. He gets the limelight. He gets all this stuff, but the ghosts are all really good. Well, at least the first two. The third one doesn't say anything, but
but there is that good double take with the third one.
True. That is another favored moment in there. But the cab driver ghost, aka 1980s Benicio del Toro, was a highlight for me because something about that character was really like standing out to me. And I don't know why, but why did he have like elf ears? Was he an elf?
You know, I was noticing that too. And I don't
See,
know
like
what
a
that was a
grimacy elf. What's going on there?
When you're a ghost, are you an elf?
But did the like fairy godmother second ghost have that?
No.
So why didn't she have also the pointy ears?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just his actual ears.
I don't. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dude, you're blowing my mind. Someone could have that pointy of ears and live. But yeah, it follows what you're expecting. Again, Scrooge, or in this case, Francis, what's his name?
Xavier Cross.
Francis Xavier Cross is visited by 4 ghosts. One inconsequential ghost that tells you that 3 other ghosts are coming. And the funniest thing is, I guess it's 3 ghosts and a zombie, because the first one straight up is a tangible,
corpse.
They're all tangible in some way.
He does some magic.
He does magic, which is sort of a ghosty thing.
Yeah.
He has a mouse in his skull. I don't know. There's some wild and very good sort of 80s special effects going on in there. No VFX required in that shot. That's just a real mouse rattling around in that guy's skull.
Which, again, the effects that we saw in this movie, i.e., ghost zombie absolutely getting holes riddled through it with a gun, or
Good stuff.
some kind of big hand coming at, Bill Murray. Like, great effects, but also when I say the movie felt very Tim Burton in places, like those were the things that make it feel Tim Burton.
Big puppety kind of vibe. Yeah. Agreed. It also, all the ghosts had the same kind of vibe as, what is that other ghost movie where they abduct the girl in the upstairs room, and it's like the family gets his. Get it.
Keep going. Yeah, I think I.
And then there's the lady, and she comes in. Either way, it has the '80s ghost vibe, and I don't know what it is about '80s ghost movies, Ghostbusters, etc., where they're all like, we all figured out the same effects. A company you hire to do these ghost effects are gonna do the same thing. It's good though.
Yeah. No, and like it has a very like nostalgia feel to it where like when you think about a ghost of the time, you think about like you just said, Ghostbusters or this movie, and it's got like oh, hey, that's familiar. That's a good feel.
Yeah, it does feel good, but it also is like icky. There's something like gross about 80s effects too, where there is a believability to them, and when it's not believable in an 80s movie as well, this movie has the same issue where it'll either be a really good effect, they sell it really well, the actors, react in a way. Like they lit that guy on fire in the one scene. They lit that guy on fucking fire. And that's amazing. And they really did that. And that's a crazy stunt to just have as a bit goof in your movie. But then he gets locked in some like sewer area, right? And there's icicles hanging from the ceiling, but they just look like rubber, like.
But they also totally feel like Batman and Robin, like in Mr. Freeze's hideout.
Tim Burton.
Yeah.
What's going on? Did Tim Burton like VFX special this movie? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know if this was like his pet project, but he just wasn't allowed to actually make it. And so he was like, hey, Danny, you're my guy on this. You're going to be in the background. You're going to be composing the music.
Push the film in this narrative direction for me.
You're going to get a producer credit. And then he didn't get a producer credit.
But like maybe Tim Burton did do special effects on this because, before he was an animator, maybe he wasn't doing the directing. Yes, but there's an element. I think if he didn't do anything on this movie, somebody was like, I'm doing the next Tim Burton. I am the next Tim Burton. It's like it's a signature without. That's the thing. I don't know if I saw it in the credits there.
Yeah. But is this something where maybe like if we took the music out of it, like is it the Danny Elfman effect where Danny Elfman is making us feel that this is a Tim Burton thing?
Like in Sonic 2, where there's the casino theme that sounds like a Michael Jackson song. And everyone's like, well, Michael Jackson did it. But then there's no credit for Michael Jackson on the game. So did he do it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or like how people have argued that like if you took John Williams out of Star Wars, like Star Wars would suck because so much of, Star Wars is John Williams, where like maybe most of Tim Burton is Danny Elfman. And so when you hear Danny Elfman, instantly you're like, oh, hey, Tim Burton made this.
True. Yeah, if the Star Wars movies title crawl opens with a different song, opens with a Danny Elfman space theme, I think you've got a Spaceballs going on. You didn't even try to do a Spaceballs, but you made a Spaceballs.
You made a Spaceballs.
Wow. It's hard to say. Do the new Star Warses feel like Star Wars? Sure. Do they have John Williams soundtracks? Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's inherent. But yes, Scrooged. Do you feel Scrooged after watching this, Aaron? You feel Scrooged up?
I do. I enjoy this movie because it's a whole series of multiple characters just getting rowdy and getting unhinged. And I mean, like we've already talked about, Bobcat Goldthwait, like he loses his job and then just becomes unhinged. You got the censor lady who keeps getting beat up, and it's very funny.
Good bit.
And then you got Bill Murray, who you take an hour and a half and you watch this man just lose his sanity.
Terrible
and-
man.
Terrible man. But Bill Murray losing his sanity, always funny.
It's a
always
good
good.
bit.
Yeah. And I think, the crux of that for me is that scene where it's right after his former business partner comes to him, and then he's in the restaurant and he's waiting for the first ghost to come.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely starting to lose it, and he's starting to see stuff. And like you said, we saw the guy with his arm on fire, which is so funny.
So good.
The bit's just there, and there's also like an eyeball and a glass, and he's screaming about that, and everybody's looking at him like, "What's
The
wrong?"
waiter just like, I'll take it away.
yeah. And the great joke of, "Are you him? Are you he, sir?" Yeah. Great writing, and I think part of that is great writing that was planned, great writing that was improv. The whole last 30 minutes of the movie's improv.
It feels like it. It can't be, but it literally feels like a vamp sesh
Yeah.
with someone behind the camera just rolling their hand like, draw it longer. Elongate.
I think that was elongated. I think that was an hour-long scene that they were like, all right, let's cut it down to like 7, 6, maybe 5 minutes.
The dancers are getting tired. We got to wrap this up, Bill.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But you know what else is pretty good?
Vamp into commercial.
Vamp into a little commercial break. Hey! Here they are. All right, I'm done vamping. We're back.
So yeah, then you got the crafts table in the back, and the thing I love about the crafts. Oh, we're back. I don't have to vamp anymore. Oh,
No,
okay.
you don't have to vamp anymore.
Okay. Whew.
Is that a whole ad break of you vamping?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, those
Shoot.
aren't even our commercials. I was just looking around and Kaiser Sose and things in the room.
Tab soda. Drink
Tab
tab soda.
Yeah, one of the things I love about this movie, Tab soda. You don't see it enough in movies.
Because
Get
it's
some-
old. I don't
Yeah.
even think they make it anymore.
I don't think they do.
It's poison.
Yeah.
What is it about these sort of this type of 80s comedy? It's weird because I think there's a lot of times where I'm watching a movie and I'm thinking about other stuff that's happening. I think about shots, I think about stuff that goes into making the movie. But for some reason, this movie especially and other movies of the time, I forget that it's like a crafted product. Like it's this completed thing, and I'm just sort of I don't know. I'm like bought in completely. I lose the fact that I'm watching a movie. I forget that there's a quality meter to these sort of things. Is there something to that?
So I think what it was you had National Lampoon, which was like getting big right in the 70s, and it just like birthed all of these soon to be actors.
Yeah.
They were doing National Lampoon. They were getting some good experience there. And then you got, like we said, Chevy Chase, you got Bill Murray, you got Jim Belushi. And when National Lampoon put out their first movie and it was a huge hit, they were like, okay, well, these people can deliver in a movie.
Right.
So then you got all of these actors that are super talented, super funny, know how to like vamp and control the air in a scene, and they're super interesting. You mix that with the great writing that came also from the people that were writing National Lampoon and going into movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was something that kind of like made this surge in the 80s of like, all right, we got all this talent and we're putting it into movies. And then I think there was like some competition where when you start getting people breaking off and like doing little partner buddy things, like you would have, Dan Aykroyd work with Chevy Chase, but then you'd have Dan Aykroyd work with Bill Murray. Dan Aykroyd
Or Jim Belushi. Yeah.
You got him getting the best of all three worlds, but you got
you
all
got
three
Blues
of
Brothers,
them.
and you get all the stuff shooting out from all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you got all three of them wanting to be like the best leading man in America.
Mm-hmm.
And so each one of them like wanted to up their performance.
Right.
And so I think that's what really like, and I think that's why we see a lot of the movies from the comedy movies from these times. And I think the outlier here is Airplane, where Airplane doesn't have any of those writers. It doesn't have any of those actors. Has a completely different feel, but is also a very funny, encapsulating movie.
And its own sort of monolith of the time. And it stands on its own in terms of like, how did this happen? Why is it this way? It's got so many people in it. And yeah, it always feels like an ensemble cast, even though you don't really know all the actors' names. You don't really know what else they've been in, but you just point at people and you're like, Goonies. What have you been in? What's going here? You're in the Goonies too. And you're just pointing at all these people that have been like staple actors in all these movies that you grew up with or are like introduced to by your parents or something like that. And yeah, it feels like it's just strange. It's a very strange vibe from the film. And you're like, why do I feel like I know what's going on here?
You know, I think that's actually become one of my favorite things with watching movies at this point in my life is like, you know, when I was younger, I'd sit down and watch Scrooged and be like, oh, Bill Murray, he's so funny. But like now I really enjoy looking at the people in the background. And like, you know, we were looking at the one lady and we were like, what is she from? And you looked her up and she was like the mom from Goonies.
Yeah.
And like, I love that. And I love looking for those people now. Like the other one I always love looking for is I don't remember his name. I never remember his name, but he's like really good at martial arts. He's been in 1,000 Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. He's in Die Hard.
Yeah.
And like I love looking for him because he is such a good supporting character.
Yes.
Where like you see him and you don't think like, oh hey, that's the guy from all these other things. You're just like
the guy with the face or a different guy.
The guy with the face.
The guy with the face. Because what was he? He was in some like buddy cop thing, and we're like, oh no.
No, I think now we're thinking of two different people.
Now we're thinking of two different people. Okay, okay. You're thinking of the main like actually good martial artist who is just in a bunch of stuff.
Yes,
and
gets killed with an ice cream cone in one of those Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
Yes, he'll do the flips off of balconies, stuff like that. He's crazy. Yeah. Very, very good. Is it also something to the I guess credit or demerit to Bill Murray? I'm not sure if he ever acts. I'm circling back to, is he actually an asshole? But it's like it is full on starstruck. You know, he's so big, and there's actors nowadays that feel that same way. You know, like you see Chris Hemsworth on screen and you're like, oh my God, he's the guy. You point at him in Cabin in the Woods and you're like, hey, he's the guy, it's Chris Hemsworth, you know, and you point at Chris Hemsworth too and you go, can he act? I don't know. He's going to be in the new Furiosa, I guess. Is he going to be good in that? I don't know. But with Bill Murray and the comedian types of this, like this late 80s era, they're the funny guy. This movie, I think that's what's weirding me out too, is like he plays basically the same character in Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
And there's even the mayor of Groundhog Day is in this movie as a different character. And so my mind breaks a little because I'm too used to just how he was acting before, and it's not different. And so he's just doing A Christmas Carol as Bill Murray. And I can't fault him for it because he's funny. And I'm laughing at the jokes and I get the bits. But I'm like, what are we doing here? Is this a movie?
Well, and you're right. And it's kind of a disservice to the other actors in the movie where you got the guy who plays the dad, who's also the mayor in Groundhog Day. He's playing two different characters. Like, he didn't get to just play the same guy. Or like Karen Allen. Like, she's two different characters. She just didn't get to play, you know, Marion Ravencroft in, you know, Ravenwood in this movie. Like, she... Yeah. You know, she had to play somebody else. And so, yeah.
And she kills it. Dude, every time she's on screen, I am just like...
Absolutely.
Come
wonderful.
back.
Yeah.
Come back here.
Come back here. Can we run
I don't
want to
look at Bill anymore.
Yeah. You don't have to fix him. I'm already fixed.
Yeah, it's an unforgivable sin for this film to be like, oh yeah, they get back together. I'm like,
Yeah.
They
No,
shouldn't.
Thank you.
He can be as fixed as he can, but she should not. She should know when she has something better. It was, oh boy,
Yeah.
it was a lot.
Yeah. The one detractor from this movie.
She can't. She can't. There's no future where I see them happy. I can't. I choose to believe she finds somebody better, and he still ends up a nice guy. He's still good. He's fixed, but she doesn't go with it.
Yeah.
I refuse.
Yeah. Circling back, I do think this isn't a hot take at all, so no hot take alert. But you know, normal take alert. Oh.
Cold take.
Yeah, I mean, Hollywood is famous for finding people who have a certain niche and having a certain way of acting and just putting them in the same thing. I don't want to call out too many actors because I don't want to make enemies, but like The Rock and, unfortunately Ryan Reynolds. Anytime I see Ryan Reynolds in a movie nowadays, I'm like, I know exactly the character he's going to be playing. And it's such a shame because, like, I'm sure he can do other stuff.
Are you sure he's the same guy in that one movie where he plays his future self? He's the same guy. He's still Deadpool in that one?
Yeah, he's still the same guy where he plays in that other one where he plays a guy.
No.
Yeah, but it is a shame
Say
because,
it
like,
ain't so.
You look at those actors and they get accolades for doing those parts where they're just doing the same character that they've done.
I don't think they do get accolades though. They're not.
Well, whether it's
They're
accolades
getting money.
I mean, that's accolades enough, and also just like popularity from the public. Like people eat that up, and they continue to go see these movies. And then you have other actors that like put themselves out and try a new character, and you're like, oh wow, like that was something new. I enjoyed that, and then it just doesn't get recognized.
Is there sort of a paradoxical thing with fame and actually being an actor? I don't want to get too deep into it because I cannot act for the life of me. But the part that boggles the mind is when you have an actor that is losing themselves in a role, and not in terms of like, method acting or something like that. It's like when you have an actor that becomes this other person for a role, you finally can like disconnect them from who they actually are, like as a person, and they're dissolved into this film, and you just sort of like, you just get who they are. I can't point any examples at the moment, but it is like, when you're doing like a biopic or someone and someone's playing somebody else, if they nail that person and you watch the movie and you just like, they're believably that person, that's amazing. I love that. But you're losing who the actor is. Like everyone was always saying Daniel Day-Lewis was really, really good at becoming these other people. But I think I saw like Gangs of New York, and I'm like, hey, that's just Daniel Day-Lewis with a big mustache. And so he was very underutilized in that movie. Let's be real. But it's stuff like that where I can't explain it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
I think so. And to go along with that too, like, when they go too far, like Daniel Day-Lewis, you like start to criticize it in a way that you probably wouldn't normally criticize. Like,
because he's still a really good actor. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, but you're watching him as Lincoln, you're like, Lincoln wouldn't. No, he wouldn't ever step with his left foot first. What are you doing, you stupid idiot? Yeah. But then, like, Austin Butler, who played Elvis.
Oh, the Elvis? Yeah.
I thought he did a really good job because he sold it well enough that I was like, yeah, that man's Elvis. I'm watching Elvis.
But then fucking Tom Hanks is in there being like, oh, Tom Hanks.
And I was like, hey, he's playing the Polar Express guy.
Hey, that's the guy from the Polar Express. Hey,
Was he's not animated.
there's
Or
no
is
train in
he?
here. Was he doing the Polar Express? He was doing the Polar Express.
It was the Polar Express, yeah. I was
But he's
expecting
also other characters in that movie too.
yeah. I was expecting Austin Butler to start being like hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate control. Wait, is Tom Cruise? Well, I almost said Tom Cruise. Is Tom Hanks Santa in that movie too? I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He's the dad, the kid's older voice.
That
Santa.
movie is
Yeah.
legitimately a fever dream nightmare. The fact any
And-
movie where Tom Hanks is multiple people echoing in your ear and like
Yeah.
that's
And
terrifying.
yet I watch it almost every year.
Really? That's a
Yeah.
yearly watch for you? Incredible.
Yeah. I like that one.
We might have to do an episode on that one because that's one I haven't seen since probably it's Dawn.
Yeah.
Anywho, Aaron, what do you think for Scrooged? Is it a yay? Is it a nay? Is it a too much popcorn? Is it an empty bucket? We've never defined too much.
Well,
but
I
is
think
it
that's a quantitative system.
is it a too much popcorn? Is it an empty bucket? But was it too much popcorn to begin with, and therefore then you have an empty bucket, or were you given no popcorn?
Oh no. Yeah. Well, folks, I'm pretty sure you can guess, seeing as most of this episode has been Jimmy and I not really talking about the movie and talking about other
It's
stuff.
hard.
Yeah. Well, we don't
Comedy
wanna
is
spoil
especially
it.
hard to talk about.
We don't want to spoil a movie that we're probably going to end up recommending. So I'm sure y'all can guess that we're
Remember how short our fucking Blazing Saddles episode was?
Yeah, dude, there was like 5 minutes of content in that one.
Where we're like, all right, we're going to introduce the movie, and 5 minutes later, we're going to say, hey, should you watch it or watch it?
Yeah. So yes, Scrooged. Just like Polar Express, this one's a yearly watch for me. It doesn't have the same cozy feel that other Christmas movies have. And so, like, I can't just, like, sit down and put it on while I do other things and wrap presents. Like, this is a movie where I like to, like, sit down and be entertained by this movie and get, an hour and a half of laughs out. Hear some of my favorite lines. Niagara Falls, and the bitch hit me with a toaster.
Falls.
Yeah. It's a very enjoyable movie. There's great bits. Love Bobcat Goldthwait. Love Karen Allen. Bill Murray. Love Karen Allen. Bill Murray. Love Karen Allen.
Karen Allen. Don't forget Karen
Allen.
Allen.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say this movie is a watch from me. If you need a holiday movie, if this is one that you like watching every year, great too. Yeah. Jimmy, what do you think? This was your first time.
First time seeing
Yeah.
Scrooged, 1988. Bill Murray, iconic poster where he's like got a stogie and the skeleton's lighting it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, for me, contentious pick here. I'm gonna go with a watch, of course.
Yeah.
So for me, 100%, it is a watch. And the funny thing is you're going into like how it's an annual watch for you, all this sort of stuff. Because this is my first time, I almost feel like I loved it. It was very funny. It got all this weird stuff. It made me feel weird because I'm like, Bill Murray is the same guy. I don't understand. But it was still very, very funny. It had all of the makings of what you'd expect from a late 80s movie. Very Home Alone, very Ghostbusters, it felt like all these other types of movies. Great Christmas movie, great holiday movie, great comedy, great effects, all this sort of stuff that came together. Doesn't really feel like a movie though. It just happens and you get to sort of enjoy it. And the thing with me though is like I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. Like I'm glad I watched it. I would recommend people to watch it, but it doesn't feel like it would reach the same level as like a Muppet Christmas Carol. Like if I'm going to watch a Christmas Carol movie, it's going to be the fucking Muppets, man.
Yeah.
And it's not that it is the same story. It is. He is Scrooge. He gets the ghosts, all this sort of stuff. But is it different enough of a retelling to warrant multiple Christmas carols in my life? I'm okay.
See, I like this one because it kind of is the anti Muppet Christmas Carol, where like when I watch Muppet Christmas Carol, it fills me with joy. It fills me with warmth. It makes me have hope for humanity again. It like is like the perfect wholesome Christmas movie in my mind. Spoiler alert for when we watch Muppet Christmas Carol. That one's gonna be... I guess you guys can probably guess what I'm gonna say.
But
about
you're
that
not
one.
watch. I fucking hate Muppet Christmas Carol.
I love it, but don't watch it. It's my movie.
It's
Brian
mine
Henson
and
made
you
it for
can't watch
me.
You thought we were gonna say you don't watch it, but we said no, you can't watch it.
Yeah, so like it's super wholesome, and this one is on the other side where like it's spooky, it's scary,
It's raunchy.
it's raunchy. There's boobs.
Her nipples are coming out.
So like this one kind of punctuates where like I'll watch Muppet Christmas Carol, and then this one's like not a palate cleanser, but a palate dirtier. And then I'll go back and watch Muppet Christmas Carol again because I love that movie.
Yeah, after you watch this movie, it tastes like you pound a liter of tab.
Yeah, it tastes like smoking a pack of cigarettes. You're like,
it's dirty. It isn't it is a retelling, but it feels. That's the funny thing is it feels unnecessary. Again, we've said there's so many Christmas carols out there. Why do we need another one? This one's a modern retelling with the elements of what you would expect in a late 80s film. It doesn't have squibs, but it has great VFX. It's got, it doesn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger breaking through windows and shooting people through helicopters, all this sort of stuff. But it's got what
Danny
you would
Elfman.
expect from a late 80s comedy. Yeah.
And to go along with that too, like Muppet Christmas Carol really is like the perfect telling of Charles Dickens's story because it stays so accurate to the story, so much so that when you actually read the book as a kid, your teacher thinks that you've just like synopsized Muppet Christmas Carol, and then you get an F on an assignment. Hashtag not bitter about it, but totally am.
Mrs. Goldthwaite.
But to get back to where I'm going, Muppet Christmas Carol is a very good retelling, but it's almost too wholesome, where when you actually read the Christmas Carol, it's a spooky ghost story that they would have told around the fire. Like in the song, they're going to tell spooky ghost stories. And this movie is spooky. And so I think this movie does a very good job of being kind of accurate to Charles Dickens's idea of wanting to tell a Victorian spooky ghost story.
The Winter Curse.
The Winter Curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I almost think, I don't think we need any more Christmas carols, but if you're gonna make them original in terms of what you're trying to show, what's on display here for the people. And whether it's raunchy, whether it's sexist, tasteless, any of this sort of stuff, I don't really know. Let's see what you got to say about A Christmas Carol. I'm down to watch whatever you got. The thing I think that does incense me a little bit is when I was scrolling through all those Christmas carols, they are the olden day, like it's a telling of it in jolly old England. And I'm like, but we have a Muppets version of that. We don't need yours.
They already won.
We don't need any more of that one. We need something new. We need not again, this is so unnecessary, but I'm saying if we're doing A Christmas Carol, do something new with it. Do A Christmas Carol, but he's a reptile, He is he's a lizard guy. I don't care. At least this one had Bill Murray in terrible hair wigs. I don't know what was going on there. Goofing around, being spooked. It was great. Him being scared was the best part of the movie because you get to see. It doesn't look like true fear, but it's funny fear.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Very good point.
I'll take it. Bill Murray, I don't think he can act. I just straight up think you can put Bill Murray in a movie and he's funny and he'll say the lines, he'll do whatever. I have never seen Bill Murray play a different guy. When he is in a Wes Anderson movie, he is Bill Murray as Bill Murray. He goes underwater. He runs a newspaper guy, but he's Bill Murray.
Yeah. No, that's
And not to a demerit, not to credit or demerit. It's just an observation I am seeing. I'm glad he's out there doing stuff because I enjoy him on screen. Always have.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
If he keeps putting out movies with Wes, I'll keep watching them. Let's be honest.
yeah, is he in the new one? The Asteroid City?
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Either way, is that going to do it, Aaron? Is that going to do it for us?
I think that's gonna do it. I think we got our popcorn here in our bowls and our more bowls and our more bowls. Oh, that's too much popcorn. But
That's too much.
we got our cocoa. We got our roaring fire, which we turned
wait,
off.
Wait.
Oh,
I got a fresh tab.
ooh, nice.
Adding it to my Christmas repertoire.
I've got tab cocoa.
Ugh.
It's
Ooh.
oh, it's horrible. Give me some popcorn.
We did have a consensus mode as well.
Yeah, we gotta get.
We've reached consensus on this movie, Scrooged, 1988. Thank you so much for listening. If you have the time to leave a review or a rating on wherever you're listening, we'd love to see it. Comments wherever you're listening, especially on YouTube if you get there. But again, during these so spooky or cold or warm, whenever you're listening, we're still pushing for those Spotify listens and ratings and all that sort of stuff. Just while we're, I think we'll just continually be ever starting this podcast from the ground up.
Yeah.
But here we are. Too much
It's
popcorn.
and it's the holidays. Whether you celebrate them or not, whether you celebrate one or all of them or none of them, thank you for taking some time out of your life to
All of them?
bring us all of them.
I feel like some overlap.
You know what? It's called 4th of July, but there's nothing that says that you can't celebrate it in December on the 25th.
I got Easter eggs for my Christmas gift.
I got tab fireworks. But thank you, folks, for bringing us into your ears and your homes and your hearts and sending us Christmas presents. Oh, you guys didn't say Christmas. That's okay. That's okay.
I got a lot of popcorn. You didn't get anything?
No.
Shit. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I shouldn't have told you.
The reindeer ate all my popcorn.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us this year, 2023. We'll keep talking about movies next year.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.